everyone, good morning. My name is Leslie, and today I'm going to be walking you through introduction and conclusion paragraphs. So let's get started. So like I said, today we're going to be going over intro and conclusion paragraphs. These, I would say, are probably your most important pieces of your essay. I know that a lot of people will tell you that the body paragraphs are the most important, but really if in the introduction you don't catch your reader's attention and in the conclusion you don't wrap everything up, then your essay is missing really key components to make sure that it's the best that it can be. So your introduction. The introduction is usually your first paragraph in an essay, not usually, but should be the first paragraph in all of your essays. This, like I said, is where you're going to attract the reader's attention, you're going to state your focus topic, and you're going to state your thesis. So the way you attract your reader's attention is the hook. I know your teachers may have talked about it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, but I do have a separate video on that. But essentially, your hook is going to be the first sentence in your paragraph, and that's how you're going to introduce the topic of what it is that you're talking about. So literally, just as the paragraph states, introduction, that's what you're doing, and that's how you'll be able to keep track of it. And like I talked about it in previous videos as well, your thesis is going to be in this paragraph. So here I have an example. I'm just going to move this up here. An example of a good introductory paragraph. So as I was talking about before, this is the hook. So the hook that this person decided to use is, you use social media apps or YouTube? And I think it's a really great hook because it makes you think. So when you read that, you're like, okay, yeah, I use social media apps, I use YouTube. That's interesting. Let's see what this is about. So once you do your hook, you're going to go into your background, your introduction to your topic. So let's read this together. Their focus topic and context is modern American youth are flooded with opportunities to access information and entertainment, often at the touch of a fingertip. Although many of these technological outlets have a negative connotation of wasted brain space, not all technology and screen time should be considered of little worth or purely for mindless entertainment. So this already is really good because they're providing background on what they're going to be talking about. And I already know that even before reading this, what they're going to be talking about is technology. Because here they're including information on that a lot of people think negatively of technology because they're like wasted brain space and that it's not really worth it. So let's keep going. In fact, because of today's technology widespread appeal and accessibility, it can be easily used to incorporate academic and educational purpose into a daily routine. Technology's ability to captivate and engage a targeted audience can be harnessed and redirected from mindless entertainment into powerful tools which are not limited to amusement alone. Games, television, and apps can be used to appeal to a child's intellect while developing technical skills. This creates a wealth of opportunities to enhance the behavioral and scholastic development of an adolescent. And I know that as you're reading that, you might be like, oh, they're using really big words. But I promise you that this is honestly a really amazing introduction so far. And this is kind of a level that you'll be working towards in high school. So this is really important. But as you can see, like I said before, they included their hook, and all of this in like this salmon color is really great background on technology and why people might not like it. But as I can see, what their topic is going to be about without even reading the title is it's going to be about the good things technology provides, or and like they state here, it can be appeal to children with a wealth of opportunities to enhance our development. So really, they're talking about how good it is and the good that technology does do. So I think this is really awesome. And then here, the thesis statement, again, super, super important. Their thesis statement is here. The use of technology and screen time can be positive for children, as it allows children to excel academically by experiencing the expanding definitions of classroom and literacy as a whole, improves low-performing developmental skills, and can supplement in-class education for more academically advanced students. I love this thesis because it's not your typical this. kind of thing that can be a little muddled, and I know it can be a little hard, and we've talked about it, where it's like they just put the screen time can be positive because blank, 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 which is still really good, but this is what you're going to see that gets a little more advanced. They're not just saying because blank, blank, blank. This one, they're talking about again, the use of technology and screen time and how it's positive, and then they're incorporating it in a really good way. So I absolutely love that. And it does it be sometimes I know that you can get caught up in wanting to introduce your topic for your thesis and being like, oh, the use of technology and screen time can be positive for children because, and then you shorten it and just say classrooms and literacy, low performing supplement. But this is good because they kind of go in depth. They still use that TP123 method. It's just that instead of saying because, they're expanding a little more on it. But it's positive for children as it allows children to excel academically by experiencing expanding definitions. So super awesome. Like I said, introductory paragraphs, super important. Always want to have your hook, always want to have background info, always want to have your thesis. Now your conclusion. Your conclusion is always going to be the last paragraph in your essay. It's a rephrasement of your thesis to bring your paper to a close. You want to summarize all of the points that you've made. And you also want to talk about the significance of the argument. So when someone's reading your essay, when they get to the bottom, they want to know, okay, I read everything, but why is it important? You want to leave the reader with something. So here I put maybe some topics to think about are why is the discussion important? Do you want your reader to think differently? Do you want them to question something? So if you're doing like a persuasive essay and you want to persuade someone to think or to side with you, maybe question it again. And if you're talking about dogs and animal shelters, question that and end with something powerful. So here is another great example. So this goes back to the introductory paragraph that we read. This is actually their conclusion from the same essay. So here we have the rephrased thesis statement. So like I was telling you previously, you want to rephrase your thesis statement, not word for word, but again, your conclusion is your conclusion. You're summarizing, you're done. This is it, you're wrapping it up. So their rephrased thesis statement is the use of technology and screen time has been proven to create a well-rounded and positive educational experience for child and adolescents. Technology supplements in-class education, improves low-performing developmental skills, and allows children to excel academically. So that already, it's the same thesis that they had. They just switched up a few words, switched it around a little bit, and they rephrased it, and it works perfectly. Because as you can see when we go back, they talk about how technology and screen time can be positive for children, and it talks about that. And here, the use of technology can create a well-rounded and positive educational experience. So they switched it a little bit. So that's really great, and that honestly is how you can start your conclusion, just rephrasing your thesis. And then again, the body is kind of like the body of your intro, but this one is just a summary. So think of your conclusion as literally the summary of what you talked about. So summary of main ideas within the paper, and then at the end, your significance of the argument. So since I know that it was probably really boring to hear me read a lot, I'm going to give you guys a second to maybe read through that a little bit, and I'll touch on some points. But the paper did talk about how technology is just super positive. It can, if used correctly, it can help someone become more advanced, because as a society, technology is constantly advancing. So if we're not using it to its full potential, we can fall behind. So any of you with your grandparents too, they didn't grow up in the world that we have where technology is everywhere. So when we try to show them how to use their phone, how to use Facebook, it's a little hard. I know definitely some of you have probably gone through that, and it's difficult. But that's why we, as a newer generation, and when we have if we have siblings or cousins that are younger than us, they're growing up in this. So it's important to make sure that if they are having screen time or technology, we're showing them how to use it in the right ways, like that. So that's pretty much what they talked about here, and that's what they summarized, which is really awesome. And here, the significance of the argument I really loved. So their significance is, as society embraces the inclusion of technology in everyday life, the field of education should not be an exception. To exclude technology from educational and social development could be arguably detrimental to a child's outcome as an adult. So again, their main point was that technology can be useful and it shouldn't be taken out of education. We should actually be enforcing it and using it. So I think that's really awesome because it makes you think. Like it definitely makes me think because I'm like, okay, it could be detrimental. So if you don't know what detrimental means, it just means it could be really bad for a child's outcome as an adult. It could lead to them, falling really behind, not being able to find a job. So this is really important because it makes me think after reading this essay, hey, this is really important. So it's just something to keep in mind when you're writing your own essays. Remember that the intro and your conclusion are really the most important things. But personally, I think the conclusion paragraph is really one of the easiest because half of it is rephrasing. So that's pretty much it. I hope that this was super helpful. I hope that this has been able to kind of show you how intro paragraphs and conclusion paragraphs are not that hard. They're really not. And I know that there are tons of things out there for you to look into. But again, just take everything day by day. You definitely got this, and hope to see you soon.